Hi, I'm here now with Margaret Kendle, who I've known for millions and millions of years, and we've worked together on all sorts of projects over the years to discuss the concepts of future-proofing yourself. And she just had a cat walk past her, so I hope you all enjoyed that. And I'm really keen to find out how Margaret has developed and self-managed in her working career. I'd love to find out more what you've learned along the way, what's gone well, what hasn't gone so well, and with hindsight, which I always say is just such a wonderful thing. Oh, the cat's gone again.
Start it again.
No, this is brilliant. No, we've got to keep it, got to keep it. So the cat is obviously future-proofing itself because it wants its dinner, which is a bit early because it's only 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But when a cat wants food, it wants food. So I'm also interested, what advice would you now give others, but what advice would you have liked and what advice have you had that you've really liked? So here we go then. So with the first question, just a little bit of a brief sort of overview of your career, Margaret.
Okay, well, given that it does span a lot of years now, I will try and do a brief synopsis. So yes, I started out actually having done a degree in home economics. I started off in a job in sales because that was the only job that was wanting to employ anybody with a degree in home economics. And I was a home economist in a frozen food company and did that for a while. Found that actually I absolutely loved selling actually. And when I was taught how to sell in a professional way and that it wasn't just some, tenuous thing that I didn't, or that wasn't much depth to it, I realized there was some psychology behind it and found it really interesting. And I did some training in that job as well. I did actually leave that job and went to another training job to do with domestic appliances, and then actually got asked to go back for an interview and got a job that I had previously aspired to, which was a regional sales manager within that retail environment. So I was responsible at that point for up to about 55 or 56 people over a region, and I thoroughly enjoyed that actually. So I did that for about 7 or 8 years, and then I moved to a company, actually was made redundant, first of a couple of 2 or 3 redundancies I think, which were actually all a positive as it turned out. And I moved to a company which was an extended warranty company, which is where you were working as well, David, yes, weren't you? As a trainer on the motor part of the business, and I was a trainer in the electrical appliances part of the business. And then I blagged my way into a job within that company to internal training and became their internal training manager.
I always wondered how you got that job.
Yeah, I persuaded them they needed a training manager because it was always, it was used to be personnel and training. And yes, the personnel manager never had time to do any training. He was always spending time on personnel work, of course. So I persuaded them they needed a separate role, and really that should be me that did it. So brilliant. I don't know how, but that worked. Yeah. And really then, ever since then, I've always done training. So within, employed in an organisation. So for the last 22 years, I've done training and development, designing, delivering, facilitating, a huge range of different programs with all sorts of different sizes and types of companies. And for the last 6 years of that, I've been doing that on a freelance basis as an independent associate.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. So, what do you wish you'd known at the start of your career, if you could wind the clock back?
I wish I'd known. I think that you are always capable of more than you think you are. Everybody has potential much greater than they currently have realised. So I remember being really struck when I was helping to facilitate an assessment centre one time, and at the end of it, it was been quite gruelling. They'd been put through numerical, verbal, reasoning sort of ability tests and all sorts of different activities. And it was really it was an internal development assessment centre with a company. But I remember one of the managers at the end of it saying, wow, I just really love this company. He said, it's been just a tough but a fantastic day. He said, because I love it, because he said, well, my manager thinks that I'm capable of things that even I don't think I'm capable of. And he was clearly so motivated by that. And I thought, actually, yeah, that's true. And I think if people can be empowered to know that that is going to be their reality and their truth as well, then they will feel encouraged to step outside of their comfort zone even more frequently. And of course, that's the only place that we're ever learning anything.
Yeah, yeah, very much so. And you also sort of talked about being made redundant, and I suppose, I mean, it's happened to me a couple of times in my early part of my career. You said it turned out positive, but how did you feel at the time when you were made redundant?
Do you know, I actually felt completely delighted for the
Oh,
first
why?
time, overjoyed, because they changed the job role entirely, and what the job role they were offering to us, none of us actually wanted. And so the people that they offered the job to came out in tears, and the people who they said were going to be made redundant came out absolutely overjoyed. To be honest, in those days, we got a really good redundancy package.
Yeah.
But I think the reality was that I did have confidence that I did have some transferable skills.
Yeah.
And that's what I always say when I'm training managers. It's really about helping people to feel that they have that transferable security. The security of transferable skills is really important.
Yeah, very, very important, very important. And so what's the best piece of advice you've been given by anyone during your career that you sort of look back and think, yeah, I really needed that. That was good.
Okay. It probably wasn't so much something that I was just, needed because I needed to change my thinking or anything at that moment in time. It was just actually in my very first job, was introduced to the concept of setting goals. And for me, that's been so amazing and so powerful through my whole working life, I have to say, because it obviously is all about your whole life, so personal life as well. And I remember we were asked to do an exercise where we wrote down our short-term goals, which at that point was to sell 20 freezers in the next couple of weeks or something like that. That's what my job was. And also to write down some long-term goals. And I remember covering it up because I didn't want anybody else to read what I was writing, because I was writing that I wanted to be one of the regional sales managers. And they were like God. So I didn't want anybody to think that I wanted one of these, thought I could do one of these God positions, but I did write down that's what I wanted to do. And I put a date on it, a month and a year. And what actually happened was that I left the company, went and did another job, and I was asked to go back for an interview for one of the positions that I had written down. And I got that job within a month of the date that I'd written down 3 years earlier.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Sometimes you don't know how and what the journey's going to be. And subsequent to that, I have, regularly written down and written out what I now call creating my future history. What does that look like? What do I want it to be? And mentally transposing yourself to that moment in time, 3 years ahead, whatever the time frame is you want, writing out as if you're already there, as if you already have all the things and your life is exactly as you're describing it, as if you already have it. And it's been throughout my working life incredibly powerful, and most of those things have come to fruition.
Brilliant. Okay, well we'll come back to that at the end when I sort of talk to you about your next steps.
Okay.
So anything you wish you'd have done differently in your career?
Not particularly. I've really thoroughly enjoyed all of it. Possibly going freelance earlier than I did.
Having more freedom.
Yeah. And a better rate of pay, quite frankly, Dave. It worked out better for me had I done it a bit sooner. So I just wish I'd been a bit braver. To be honest, I was listening to my husband and he was like, no, if you've got an employed job, you need to keep that, safe, steady. And my little voice was going, no, surely, I could, just go for it. And I wish I'd have listened to my inner voice rather than my husband's voice in my ear.
Yeah. And also, I just want to come back to also what you said at the start with regards to getting really good sales training skills early on, which I think is such an important skill and a competency, but very few people see it as a professional skill and something that should be celebrated. Do you feel that we can all learn a lot better if we had better sales skills, and we could make us more adaptable and more future-proofed if we had better sales skills?
Yes, because we're all selling, aren't we? We're selling ourselves, we're selling an idea, if not an actual product. So So selling is an important thing. And yes, actually, I remember it was this little American guy, actually. We had a series of videos, and the training was over 5 days. So it was very thorough, and it was called The Psychology of Selling. And it was fascinating, and it was, yeah, and it was very powerful. And it actually made me see sales and my job as being a professional problem solver.
Yeah.
And really, if you're selling effectively, that's exactly what you're doing. And how many of us in our jobs actually are always, or in the main, professionally trying to help solve other people's problems or the company's problems. So yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant, good stuff. So what would you say you've enjoyed most, and you're so pleased that you've done in your career?
So many things, really. I mean, I've really enjoyed I've always enjoyed all the work that I've done. I think because I've thought about what I want to do, and I've never allowed myself to be stuck doing something that I wasn't enjoying doing, really, or not for any real length of time. I love facilitation. I love being part of a team, particularly your training team, of course, David. Well, it is, though. It's because it's important to me to be part of a team, and when you're working independently, that's you could be missing. But I also really enjoy managing and leading a team, which I did in the past, had a big teams in the past. And I do, what I didn't mention actually early on is I do, as well as doing training and development, I also do lead independent people who have their own businesses in a social selling context. So I'm currently a leader within that team. And I find all of that, aspects of that, and helping others to be their best really is what motivates me. So whatever context I can do that in.
Brilliant. And based on that then, so what advice would you give young adults at the moment setting out on their career and perhaps deciding which direction to go based on your own experiences?
Well, I have that conversation with my daughter, who's 22. So I think really, obviously, if you can, and I do feel that, what I do, I don't feel often, I don't feel like it's work, because I'm enjoying it. And, it's often said, and many people go, well, yeah, that's a bit pie in the sky. Who can possibly, be just sort of paid for something they really enjoy? But you can. And actually, I do think it's about working out what your passions are, what you really love to do, and seeing what the opportunities are for incorporating that or making that into your career and into your job. Because then you don't feel like you're working, and every day is a good day.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I'm still doing lots of talks in schools with young adults, deciding whether to go to university or to go out to work. And even when I talk at universities and colleges, I often say to them, there's so much diversity in terms of opportunities in job roles. Do follow something you've got a passion for, because when I dropped my son off on his first day of his graduate program up in Milton Keynes, I said, welcome to the next 50 years of your life. I won't tell you how he replied, but the reality is he's going to have to be in the working environment for 50 years. And you want to enjoy it. You don't want to get to a retirement party and go, cool, I just spent the last 50 years not enjoying myself. I think it's really important and really good advice you've given there, which is good. So which has been the most challenging part of your career, and what did you learn about yourself through going through that challenging time?
A couple of challenging things that I've dealt with. I can remember one time, and this would never happen these days, I can't imagine, but I was working one time within an organisation, and in the job role that I was given, there just wasn't enough to do. And that was extremely stressful. It was as stressful as having too much to do. Literally just was having to try and look busy the whole time, and that was very hard. So try not to be in that position, move on if that's the situation. And one of the most challenging things I ever had to do, which you know about, was literally be way out of my comfort zone once doing an interactive webinar over Zoom, over this method, for a group of people that I had never met before, didn't know, wanted to make it really interactive, run videos, have discussions, put them into chat rooms, because I always want to do everything I do the best it can be. So, but it was like, how can I do that? And I did spend time with people. I spent ages preparing and researching and looking out how to do that. So was really challenging. And I suppose and I did get help and support, but you know, if something is very challenging and you're way outside your comfort zone, be honest, which I was, but the people had more confidence in me that I could do it than I did in myself. Once again, back to that subject, but actually I'm not sure that that was well-placed confidence in that instance, because I did not have very much experience. But anyway, you know, again, I learned, and actually in this today, just today, this absolute current environment that is different today than it was literally a week ago, where, you know, I'm having to talk to my team about doing something that is normally an interactive face-to-face situation. We're going to have to start to do via Zoom. And so that has actually stood me in really good stead and has really future-proofed me. Situation today that has just really developed over the last few days, which none of us could have anticipated as our future.
And I do remember that time with you doing that piece of work, because it was for a charity organisation, and I think I did give you the best support possible by saying, oh, you'll be fine, you'll sort it out. So because I didn't have a clue what you needed to do, and so I had every faith and confidence in you, as always.
Well, thank you, David.
That's a pleasure. That's a pleasure.
Huge challenge,
okay, brilliant. So earlier as coming to the end then, sort of thinking about what your next steps are in future-proofing yourself and your career, if I can refer back to the words you used earlier, you call it future history. So how do you see all that working out then? Well,
that is my plan. It's been a little while since I have sat down and actually thought about that and actually described it and defined it. And, you know, I am at the point where my plan is that I will sit down, look at what do I want to be doing, spending my time doing on a day-to-day basis, work-wise, and actually out of work-wise. 3 years from now, I will probably put that time frame on it. And just, you know, get that clarity again, and then create my plan. Okay, what is it that's in there that I haven't yet got that I want to have, and what are my steps towards getting to that, and what skills do I need and knowledge do I need to be able to achieve those things. So that's my next steps in defining my future.
So is that constant reflection, thinking about the environment around us, what your skill set is, what skills I've got, what skills am I going to need, because who knows which way it's going to go. And before we started this video, we were having a little chat with regards to the current situation that, you know, who knows what's going to happen in the next couple of months, and how we're going to be earning a living and making money, you know, perhaps for the rest of the year, never mind 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. This is very immediate, and it is very important that we create that reflection and thinking time. Good. Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time and sharing your experiences and your knowledge with us. And you know, hopefully this inspires other people to sort of sit down and think about similar questions, and think about, you know, what I've learned, the journey that I've been on, and, you know, what are going to be those next steps, because we are rushing around quicker than we've ever done in the past, and it is creating that bit of mindfulness time and a little bit of thinking time to think which direction I want to go and what I can take control of. So thank you very much, Margaret. It's really lovely to see you again, and enjoy the rest of your week. So thanks, Margaret.
Thank you too. Bye, David.
Okay. Thank you.